He comes to me like this. Hey, how are you? And I'm like, what the fuck? Oh no, this is a culture, you know, this is our culture. I don't give a shit. Don't come to me that close if I don't know you, especially if you look like Santa Claus. No, I don't want any gifts, Santa. Leave me alone. Is solo traveling safe for women? Maybe you're thinking about doing it, but you're not entirely sure. You see a lot of videos online where women share their experiences, and many times it's amazing, it's great, it's like I had the best time of my life, no issues, no problems. And then you see videos where they say and tell you like horrific stories. And you think about where is the truth, and maybe it depends in which country they visited, or maybe it depends that they were just unlucky. I did consider this before my solo trip, but I thought I'm not gonna get scared off by some weirdos and by some random experiences or bad experiences that some women had. Also, the countries I visited are considered safe, at least from the PR media perspective. So I thought there's no way I'm gonna have any issues whatsoever. I visited 15 countries overall, and I want you to guess the country that gave me the worst experience when it comes to men. I am very curious if you can guess it right. And I don't want to also judge overall, because obviously it just depends who you're going to meet, but also depends what kind of region you visit in a certain country. In this specific country that I want you to guess, I got approached by a lot of men, and I didn't want their attention. They approached me out of nowhere, and I'm talking about mostly older men, not only older men, but mostly. I don't care about the culture. The culture for me is not an excuse to come up to me and enter my personal space on the first meeting. Hey, how are you? And I'm like, why don't you just fuck off? Newsflash, if any men are watching, and I don't want to put you all into this bag because I know that a lot of you are gentlemen, so it's not to all of you, but just a newsflash for most of the men. When a woman goes on a solo trip, it's mainly because she's looking for peace and she wants to get away from men. It's very different than the intention of a man going on a solo trip, because we all know what they want. Another newsflash, women think differently. And by the way, many solo travelers, females that I know, are actually in a relationship. Here's something strange. When I shared my experience with my friend, most of them told me, oh well, what did you expect when you visited this country? Like, it's obvious. And I was like, it wasn't obvious to me. I didn't know this is gonna happen. Especially in this country, I thought like, you know, everybody's a gentleman and so on. And they were like, no. It happened to me all the time. Okay, maybe I am missing something. And I don't think you would predict this country so obviously. But let me know in the comments. I will see if you're right. So here's what happened. Unfortunately, this horrible incident, one incident I'm going to talk about more, but the one horrible incident happened on my day one when I went to the beach. And then other incidents followed. On a sunny day, I thought, I'm gonna go to the beach. I took my bicycle and I was going to the beach. I was like, yeah, it's so nice. I'm so happy to be here. You know, this is day one on the beach. And I'm riding my bicycle and I see a cafe. Okay, I'm gonna go in. And then I see this guy in front of the cafe. He was walking probably around, this was not Santa Claus, weirdly. I have some other stories with them. He could be around like 25, 27, something definitely under 30 years old. I parked my bike, you know, and he was like, hey, in his language. And I was like, hey, and that was it. I got my coffee and he disappeared, you know, like I got my coffee. I had like a slice of pizza. I decided to go a little further. It was like half an hour later to get some fruits for the beach. So I'm biking a little bit and all of a sudden the same guy now is on the bicycle as well. And he's going just in front of me. And he's like, hi. And I was like, hi. And that was weird, you know. And he started speaking something more in his language. And I told him like, sorry, I don't understand. Bye, see ya. Anyway, again, he disappeared. I got my fruits and I went to the beach. And after a couple of hours on the beach, it was time to go back to the apartment. But I wanted to do some shopping for the apartment. So I got on my bike, I went to the same location, to the marina, and I'm biking, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he appears in front of me. And I'm talking about like 3-4 hour difference between the encounters. So I'm biking and I see him. And he's again like, hi. And I'm like, what the is wrong with you? And at this point I was just like, I was ignoring him. I was like, and I went further. I did the shopping and I took my bike, and it was really hot. So before I was biking, I had my shopping and my backpack, and then I had my bottle of water in my hand, and basically I was just wanted to like walk a little bit and then drink the water and then continue biking. So I'm walking, and then all of a sudden he's in front of me. And here is the breaking point. So what I was supposed to do to prevent the next following situation was I should tell him to leave me alone. But I didn't, because I wanted to be polite. Because I have seen all those videos of male solo travelers like, oh my God, you know, somebody invited me to their house and I slept over and we had great dinner and everybody's so friendly and I make so many friends. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this as well. So I wasn't unfriendly. I was super friendly, but not too much. I wasn't like, hey, how are you? My name is Nicole. You know, let's have a coffee. No, he's circling around me. You know, he's like, hi, and I was like, hi, and I continued to walk, and there were people around us. Like there were some kids there's some ladies here. I saw that he was saying hi to everyone, you know, like around me as well. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's just, you know, whatever. But I was pretty suspicious already. Like I thought he's gonna try something. So you should listen to your inner voice, not be too paranoid. And this is the problem. And I want you to, at the end of this video as well, I will prompt you to comment below. What would you do in that situation? Do you think you should be a bitch face all the time? Or do you think you should be unfriendly? Or do you think you should be super friendly and not be paranoid despite some of the bad, you know, experience? It's very tricky. Anyway, I keep walking, you know, ignoring him. And then he comes closer and he says his name. And he said, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hi. And I told him my name. I was like, literally like, hi, I'm Nicole. And I just kept walking, and he was walking, so he was biking behind me, you know, and it's like he was doing the circles and just didn't leave me alone. And I'm still not like jumping on my bike and running away, because I wanted to see what's gonna happen, because I was supposed to stay in that village, not just for 2 days, for a little bit longer. So I'm like walking, you know, keep walking. All of a sudden I realized there's nobody around anymore. Everybody just went home or something. Within like 5 minutes, not even. And I just kind of looked around and I realized it's just me and him on the whole street. And this is what he was waiting for. He was literally waiting for the right moment to come closer and try something. I still refused to just run away and being paranoid. I was like, I want to see what the is going to happen. Because I'm not going to let my paranoia take over, you know. Because a lot of times we see fear when there is no fear. But a lot of times, red flags that we see, we ignore, and then we pay for it. That was the situation. So I'm walking, you know, I'm like, oh shit, there's nobody around. Just to say, I usually carry pepper spray, not usually all the time, but I was in a foreign country, so I didn't bring one. For the UK friends, this is legal, you know, in most of the countries in Europe. So don't tell me like I'm doing something illegal. So I'm walking, and then all of a sudden, when he realized that we are alone, what he does is he comes to me, he blocks me with his bicycle, he blocks my bicycle. It all happened in like 2 seconds. I'm telling you, like he comes in, he takes a chance. He's like, this is my opportunity, there's nobody around. He blocks my bicycle super quickly, so I cannot move, comes into my personal space, and he's like starts crazily touching me, my back as well, when he was reaching for you know what. And it all happened so quickly. And my immediate reaction was, well, I wanted to kick him or punch him in the face, but somehow my sense talked to me in a very, very quick way, telling me, don't hurt him because you're going to be the blame, because you're the tourist, you're the foreigner, nobody understands what you're talking about in English. You're going to be in trouble if you hurt him. And I was about to hurt him. So immediately, split of a second, you know, my thinking, Chester Bennington came into me and I made a shout. I don't even remember how loud that was or how hard that was or how I looked when I did it. But I literally like shouted / screamed into his ear, hey, you know, but in like 1,000 times more. And he got so scared that he fell off his bike, right? And then he quickly got up and he started like biking away, like so quickly. And I just turned around and he was like way gone. And I thought to myself, what the fuck was that? So I just continued, you know, I still didn't run away. I'm like, fuck this, I'm not gonna run away. So I just continued my walk. I'm telling you one thing, I wasn't laughing when this happened. I wasn't. I was pretty shaken, but I thought, listen, nothing happened, everything is okay, you know. If this happened in Slovakia, you would get your ass kicked. But that thing being in a foreign country, especially with a tight community of locals, I'm pretty sure the police knew him. And again, language barrier. So I think they would stick to his story. Potentially could turn against me, so he could say that I attacked him for no reason. Who would they believe? So I'm thinking, I cannot go to the police. I can't. And I cannot really talk to like strangers around because nobody speaks English. And like why they would help me. Like he was literally saying hi to these old ladies and they were like, hey, you know, very friendly with him. So I'm like, people know him and they're definitely gonna stick with him, not with me. But what I've done, for the reason of staying in there for a little bit, I messaged my Airbnb host and I told him what happened. And here's a kicker, yeah? He knew the guy because he told me his name. So I told him and he said, oh, literally the message. Oh yeah, I know this guy. Don't mind him. He's got autism. What? So is this an excuse? And I should be like, oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I am feeling uncomfortable because the guy has autism. Autism is not an excuse for sexual assault. So basically the host, of course, a guy, he was just like casually just like, never mind him, you know, he's got autism. I'm like, dude, did you just hear what the happened? So at this point, I got actually angrier because it seemed like I'm exaggerating the situation. He didn't hold space for my emotions and feelings, and he didn't acknowledge them. What do you expect from a guy, honestly? But he is married, so I was thinking, oh, maybe his wife is gonna tell him something. So I replied to him saying that I don't know what to do because I don't feel safe. This word triggered automatic Airbnb support. So I got automatic message from Airbnb saying, are you feeling unsafe? Contact us immediately, we're gonna sort the situation. So they would potentially, you know, give you a refund and make sure you find a different accommodation. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but first I'm gonna wait for the host's reply. He replied that next time you see him, and if he comes closer to you, just say that you're my friend and he's gonna leave you alone. I'll take care of that. So obviously I was his business. So he didn't want some fucking autistic guy to scare his customers away. He didn't want to receive a bad review from me. So I was pretty sure like he's gonna potentially, most probably gonna talk to him and just tell him like, leave this girl alone or you're gonna see something. So it made me feel a bit more comfortable. I was like, okay, let's see. When I got to the apartment, I decided, you know, I was a little bit angry and I thought, okay, if you want this war, you're gonna have war. So every time I came back to the marina, to the beach, I recorded everything. I had my phone on my bicycle, I recorded everybody constantly. And I was on the beach, I was also recording, okay, not non-stop, because, you know, 4 hours. I recorded when I saw somebody approaching. That was not great situation because you were always in the alert, you know, always in the flight mode. This is not really what you want to do on a solo trip or on any trip. You don't want to be constantly in the flight mode, but you have to be. Unfortunately, that was the dilemma. Do I have to be unfriendly to everyone or just to men? Like, I have no idea what to do. Anyway, I was recording a lot. I'm lying on the beach. The beach is like so empty. There's like somebody next to me, like 20 meters away, but it's completely empty. You have all the space in the world. And there was this Santa Claus walking with a very tight swim pants. Very, very tight. It was disgusting. He's walking, you know, and I'm wearing my sunglasses and I'm looking away, but I can see him approaching. And you have like the whole beach empty and he comes so close to me, so close to me, almost stepping on my stuff. And he stops in front of me Directly in the shot, you know what was in the shot directly of my phone. That's why I cannot post this video here, because it's gonna get demonetized or blocked or whatever. He comes so close to me and he's like, "Hi, how are you?" And he smiles at me with his fake teeth, because he's so old that he doesn't have his own teeth anymore. And he's just like standing there proudly, you know. I literally looked at him and I was like, oh my God. And then he left, you know, he continued. Seriously? Fine. A couple of days later, not to mention everywhere I went, all the men were like, the guy was driving, you know, there's driving, and I'm on the bike, you know, and he's like, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna f***ing crash. You're gonna f***ing crash. Haven't you seen a woman in your f***ing life? What is wrong with you? A couple of days later, I'm biking the hill, and there was a nice space with the nice view where you could like sit down and just enjoy the shade. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. There was nobody in there, nobody. I park my bike there, I sit there. 2 minutes, the car goes by. The guy in the car is like, parks the car next to me. I'm like, what the fuck? He comes out, he's like, 55. No, I don't have daddy issues, you can fuck off. Ew. He comes to me like this. Hey, how are you? And I'm like, what the fuck? I took my bike and I left, and he was like, oh, looking at me, seriously. And every time I stopped in that place, any day, 5 minutes max. And there was a guy who parked the car or a bicycle and was approaching me. And when I saw him approaching me, I was like, okay, see ya. And I went away. So I'm not saying that all of them are like that. I'm also saying that I didn't expect this to be treated like this, you know, in this specific country. And also, a story is as well that I have met some really old guy, for example, who was super friendly to me. That paranoia kicked in. So I was friendly at first, and then I had those bad experiences, and then I was unfriendly to him. But he was so nice to me. But I thought, oh my God, he's one of them. He was always helping me with the bicycle, and he was so nice and sweet, but he was kind of like my grandpa. And I was leaving, and I was still worried that he's one of them. But he came to me, and he was like, hey, and he showed me his shopping. He was like, oh, I'm going to see my love, you know, so I'm gonna cook for her today. And I was suspicious of him, you know, I was suspicious of him, that he's a pervert that wants to hit on me. And I felt so bad. And this is my problem. If you're friendly, you're going to get into the uncomfortable situation at best. And if you're unfriendly, you're going to present yourself as an unfriendly bitch. And I'm not saying I hurt him, you know, or I would hurt him by being unfriendly, but it's not fair to those people. So should you fully protect yourself and be a bitch to everyone and live your cynical life in this way, also when you travel, where you essentially represent your country as well? Or you're going to be open-minded, you don't want to be paranoid, but then you're going to pay for it. Sooner or later, if you're friendly to everyone, as a woman, you will pay for it. Trust me, you will pay for it. But also, I don't want to solo travel and be unfriendly to everyone. One thing is for sure, I could have prevented this situation. I'm not saying it's my fault, but I could have prevented the horrific situation with the biker if I ignored him from the start, and if I told him immediately, please leave me alone, like go away. And I would be very assertive. I could have prevented it. I don't think he would try that if I told him literally like, leave me alone, get the out. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But I had a feeling that I could have prevented it. On the other hand, I think it's a very good experience because nothing actually happened. And now I know those red flags could be, you know, something that I should listen. As horrible as it sounds, I'm grateful for this experience in the end. I think it's something that gave me a lesson, but still didn't give me a resolution to how I should be in the end. But it gave me a lesson to be a bit more cautious, or when you feel a red flag, just go for it, you know, just listen to your intuition, but also don't become paranoid. It's hard. I would like to know your experience on a solo trip. And to be honest, you don't have to travel solo to experience this kind of stuff. Like even if you go with your partner and for 5 minutes you're by yourself, somebody can uncomfortably hit on you and so on. So this is not just for the solo trip, but on a solo trip, obviously when everybody can see that you're by yourself, this is their chance, 100%. It's like, oh my God, you know. And I also don't know what would happen if it was maybe a bit later in the day. The problem I have with this guy is that my Airbnb host said, oh, he's autistic, never mind. But first of all, that's not an excuse. But second of all, he was waiting for the moment when it's just me and him on the street. He was following me intentionally. He knew very well what he's doing. And he was waiting for that moment when we are alone on the street. So there's no witnesses. This was very well thought throughout the whole day. And he was waiting for me the whole day, hoping that I will come back. And when I did, he seized the opportunity. My advice is just Google if pepper sprays are legal in the country. Most of EU countries allow that. So go for it. But also think about the police, because if there's a language barrier or if this is like a small community, actually you may be at fault. If you feel scared to travel solo, don't do it. And if you want to do it, you just have to kind of go for it and understand that it may not be as easy as all those YouTubers like, oh my God, it's all great, nobody harassed me. I don't believe so. I think every single solo traveler on this planet, female, had at least one bad experience with a man. But not everybody wants to go on YouTube and say that. And this is what I think, because if somebody is traveling to different countries, like there's no fucking way you had zero bad experiences. And if you did, you were a bitch to everyone. It's like, what kind of solo travel is that when you don't make friends, when you don't talk to people? So, okay, I don't want to be, sexually assaulted or whatever. So I'm going to go on a solo trip, and everybody who comes closer to me, I'm just going to be like, run away. Or if somebody says hi, I'm like, leave me alone. That's not the way to solo travel. So if you haven't had a bad experience with a guy yet and you solo travel, it's probably because you don't fully experience the solo travel. Because you cannot be a bitch to everyone. And people try to genuinely help you. Some of them. I would say most of them. I'm really interested in the comment section. Somebody talk about this. I'm tired of those YouTubers. It's like, oh my God, I traveled to the most dangerous country for women and it was all great, like no problems. No. And I also don't want to infuse fear into you. I don't want to do that. Because I'm not scared. I have this experience. I'm not scared. Nobody's gonna scare me. But I want you to know that it's not as great as you may think. And you just have to be alert. Unfortunately, yes, you have to be alert most of the time. So if you want to just feel like, oh, I'm just going to go to the beach and chill, you can't really do that. You can't. See you next time. Subscribe. Use the thanks button if you want.